Hi everyone, Christina here. Welcome to another card video at my YouTube channel and blog. Today I'm going to be using this stamp set from Pretty Pink Posh called Cupcake Critters, and I'm pairing it with this mix of gems called Party Mix, and I'm going to be creating a circle shaker card. So I'm going to start out by prepping all of the circle elements, and I'm going to be using this set of circle dies from Simon Says Stamp to do this. This is the nested circle dies. And so I need to think in my mind, I'm thinking ahead how many different pieces I need to cut. I'm going to need a frame for the very top of the card, and then that outer circle will be both the front and back of the card and also be part of the frame. And then I'm going to have this smaller circle on the inside with the stamping and the greeting. So I'm just kind of seeing how the sizing works out. And now I'm going to take all of those circle dies and prep all of the cardstock. Starting out with this black cardstock from Gina K Designs. I think the color is Black Onyx, and I'm using the smallest circle die for that. And I'm then taking some clear window plastic or acetate, and I'm using the largest circle for this. This is going to be the front of the shaker area that holds all those gems inside. So I have a nice circle cut. I'm going to use that same largest circle die, and I'm going to cut out some white cardstock twice. This will be the back of the card and the front of the card. And then I'm going to cut it out a third time, but this time I'm going to add that smaller circle that's just slightly smaller, and I'm going to tape them down to my paper so they don't slide or move around at all. This is going to create the frame that goes over the top of the shaker area and just hides any of the foam or adhesive I use to make the shaker. So I'll run that through my Big Shot machine, and then I'm left with just this nice white frame. So I think that's all of the cardstock pieces I've had to cut in advance. In total, I have 3 white pieces. I also have the clear window or the clear plastic that goes on top of the shaker. And then I have that black circle for the greeting and all the stamping. I'm going to take that black circle and I'm going to put it inside my Misty Stamp Positioning tool, and I'm going to first stamp the greeting. Using this stamp that says Happy Birthday, I'm going to prep the area with an anti-static powder tool. This is just a powder tool from EK Success, and all of this powder is going to prep the area for heat embossing. Using some Versamark ink to stamp this greeting, I'll swing that door over and press down that stamp. And then I'm going to coat the stamped area with white embossing powder. This is Alabaster embossing powder from Brutus Monroe, and I'll tap that to shake off the excess. And then I'll use my heat tool to heat set this until it's smooth and melted. Just until it's barely melted and smooth, because you don't want to overheat this. It could kind of model out and the lines won't be as crisp. Got 2 of the critter stamps that I'm putting at the bottom of the circle, and I'm stamping those in Versamark ink as well, because I want the animals to also be in that same white embossing powder. So I'll go ahead and coat that in the same Alabaster embossing powder, and then I'll tap off the excess and heat set that with my heat tool. My idea behind this card was I was going to use some colored pencils to color in this scene. So I've used some white embossing lines to help guide me as I color. Wiped off all of that extra powder, any of that anti-static powder tool, and it gets it back to that regular black color. And now I'm going to use some Faber-Castell Polychromos colored pencils. And I'm matching the colors that I'm using on my card to the colors of the gems or rhinestones in that mix that I'm going to be using for the shaker area. Now the colors aren't going to be quite as vibrant since I am coloring on top of black, but the colors are going to be close enough that I won't have any jarring mismatched color combinations between the stamped area and those gems. So I'm using some pinks and yellows and purples, and a little bit of blue, and then I'm mostly using browns on the bear and a very, very light yellow for the bunny. And in order to make the areas where the light would be hitting these critters stand out, I have used a white colored pencil, and I laid that down before layering the color on top. That just gives it a little bit more, a little bit of a lighter area. I'm also using a little bit of a darker shade to shade in a little bit on the bear, and I'll do the same on the bunny. I'm going to put down a lighter shade over the entire animal, and then I'm going to come in and add a little bit of shading with a darker shade. I'm going to put some rosy cheeks on that bunny as well, and then that'll finish up all of the coloring. So now I'm going to assemble the shaker area. I'm going to first start with the very front of the card, and I'm going to be applying some foam adhesive. I'm using very, very thin foam strips from Darice, and I'm going to do 2 thick layers of these. So it's the thickness is 2 foam pieces deep. And as I apply these foam strips to my circle card, I'm taking all of that release paper off the foam, and that allows me to bend the foam adhesive and wrap it around the edge of my circle. And then I went around with a second layer of foam adhesive so that I have a nice deep area for my shaker. I'm going to open up this rhinestone mix, and I thought I might only use about half of this bag, but then I realized that this is a really big shaker, and I ended up putting in the entire bag. I felt like it needed even more so that it would kind of fill in that entire area. So after I had those kind of spread out, I then brought in my window sheets or my clear plastic and very carefully applied that. Now there's a lot of static going on with these gems, so I did get some that were trapped between the foam tape and the clear plastic. So I just lifted that up and used my scissors to move those gemstones out of the way. And then I was left with this really cool shaker area. Now to hide the foam tape, I'm going to take that frame that I cut earlier, and I'll be applying some adhesive. This is some Gina K Designs Connect Glue, and I'm going to put that around that frame and then gently line it up and press it down onto that clear plastic. This is the front of the card, so now I'm going to prep the back of the card using my mini score pal for this, or mini score buddy, and I'm just scoring that at about 4 3/4 inches. It can be whatever measurement you want. And then I put some adhesive above the fold. Now as I put the front and back together, I'm going to bend back that area so I can kind of move the circle around to the area where I want it. And then I can press that adhesive area onto the front of the card. So this creates my entire card, and I can put whatever I want on the front. I've just planned to have that circle area on the front. Put some foam tape behind that stamped and colored area, and then I held the card open so I could make sure I get it aligned just right. The card's almost done. The last thing I'm going to do is add a little bit of detail around the edge of the black circle using a white Jelly Roll pen, just doing some dash lines around that outer edge. Just gives it a little bit more of a finished look. And then that finishes the card for today. So I really love this cute stamp set from Pretty Pink Posh, and this mix of gems and rhinestones is perfect for a fun birthday card. Hope you guys enjoyed today's card. I'll be back on Friday with another brand new video.